My name is Mukti Bosco. I'm from Hyderabad, India. For the last 17 years, I have been working at a foundation called Healing Fields Foundation, which I started 17 years ago. My childhood memories has been moving from one place to the other. My parents, my father was an ophthalmologist and my mother was a nurse, is a nurse. And my father was working in Blind Relief Society of India, going to different remotest parts of the country and Nepal and Bhutan, both my father and grandfather, and conducting eye camps with in remote areas where there was no access either for roads or to doctors, qualified doctors, and they would conduct eye camps. So growing up, the initial part of my life, we used to travel with my parents. And after we were about 9 or 10, we kind of settled in the south of India, very close to Chennai. And my father was in private practice, but most of his work was involved with working with the poor. My mother, being a community health nurse, worked at the largest hospital, a missionary hospital called Christian Medical College and Hospital, Vellore, which is the largest mission hospital in Southeast Asia. And after which I went to the same institution to do my bachelor's degree in occupational therapy and got involved with working with communities, and passion has always been that. As growing up as a girl within my family, there was no difference. In fact, if you ask my brothers, they would say that maybe I was treated better than them, but in the outside world, there was always the difference. For example, my father was from the north of India, where girls were treated, as second-class citizens, and all his sisters and nieces were married as soon as they attained menarche, that is by the time they were 13 to 15, they were married away and they were not educated. So when I was about 7 years old, my parents had to make a decision whether they wanted to go to the north of India or move to the south of India, where my mother was from. The south of India, culturally, traditionally, is supposed to be much better off educationally for women. They treated women better than in the north of India. And at that point in time, my father took a decision that he had to move to the south of India because I was his daughter, and he said that if he had to provide me with an education or a better life or a good life, then we have to move to the south rather than the north, even though I have two brothers. So that was deciding factor for my father. But growing up as a woman in India is a tough task even till today. In many of the forums that I go to, because of my work, I would end up being the only woman in a leadership position. Very few women you would see in leadership positions. And many organizations which work for women would also be led by men rather than by women. Yes, there has been times when I have felt that because I was a woman, there were barriers. And fortunately for me, I think God has placed me in an environment where I feel wanted as a woman with my family, not only my birth family, but also my married family. My husband treats me and values me as a woman, but that is not real when I leave and go out of the home. For me, my father was a great inspiration. My mother has been a role model because she broke a lot of barriers. And the third person would, there are two other people. One is Dr. Ida Scudder, who was one of the American missionary women who came into India and started the Christian Medical College and Hospital, which is one of the largest Southeast Asian missionary hospital in India. And that was started for providing medical care and medical education for women in India. And of course, the fourth person, which I value very, very deeply, is Mother Teresa. There was a time in my life, in my early 20s, that I wanted to go and join Missionaries of Charity. So yes, she is also a great inspiration for me. Lots of dreams, lots of dreams. Mostly within the healthcare space, and where I want to bring in a revolution within this country and in the poorer countries. So now our journey is going into Indonesia, and where we want to make healthcare, quality healthcare accessible and affordable. That is one of my major dreams. And of course, the second dream is to be able to grow in my own faith and to be able to create role models. Faith-based role models is something that I'm looking at and seeing how God wants to use me as His instrument.